Welcome back, PowerShell Nerd here with more content. I did add it at the end of the video on the last one, but I want to make sure I call it out now that these videos do have a mini challenge at the end of them. I'm also dropping it in the description below, so go ahead and check those out. They're not difficult, but it gets you hands-on experience. I'll probably make more challenging challenges later on, but without further ado, let's hit the shell. Today we're going to be talking about variable and variable types. We'll talk about declaring variables. We'll talk about checking and casting on variable types. We'll talk about booleans, arrays. We'll talk about integers and strings and all the fun stuff. So let's go ahead and hit the shell. First, variables. They start with the $sign. They can have an underscore or they can have a character, but they can't have a number in the beginning. So we'll be making the variable called name here, and we're going to make it equal to John Doe. So think of a variable as a bucket, and you're putting something in that bucket. You can change the bucket or change the content in the bucket, but again, you're replacing what's in the bucket with something new. If you're adding to a bucket, then that's more like an array. So for this one, our bucket or our variable is going to be called $name. We're going to make it equal to John Doe. So we're going to stick John Doe in here. Notice nothing prints to the screen because it went into the variable. So now, if we do right host, which we learned in other videos, we specify name, and then we do $name, it's going to be what is in $name. So it's going to say John Doe. There we go. Next one is integers. We're going to do an integer of 25 for an age. Integers are numbers. If this had quotes around it like this, it would technically be a string, not an integer. And you can't do any mathematical algorithms with that. So let's go ahead and run our code. And then again, we'll right host age:age, and we'll see that says age 25. Next is a Boolean. Boolean values are true or false. This is really good when you're doing logical stuff like while loops, or if you're doing if statements, which we'll get into a later series. This is where Booleans come into play. So we'll go ahead and set isActive as a Boolean, and it's going to be equal to true. And then we can say isActive, and then the variable, and then we can see down here isActive is true. So that's a Boolean. Next is array. You can declare array. It's an @ with parentheses. And then the hash table actually has script braces, which we'll see next. They look very common. There's differences between them. So some people will get confused and try to make an array with script braces, and that's not the right syntax. So we're going to create this array of fruits. And basically we have a array, or think of it as a list of items. We'll have apple, banana, and cherry. If I just print fruits to the screen, you can see down here it prints it out one line at a time, apple, banana, and cherry. And then we say first fruit, and we'll say fruits, square brace. And then this is our index number. So everything starts with 0 in computers usually. So it's going to be the first item in the list. So it'll be apple. So it's going to say fruits and apple. So if we go ahead and run this, first fruit, apple. If we change that 0 to 1, obviously it's not going to be the first fruit, but it's still going to print out what it is, and it's a banana. So that's how you iterate through an index. Next, we'll be talking about declaring hash tables. A hash table is a key value pair. So the key is name, the value is John. The key is age, the value is 25, and isActive is true. So if we highlight this and load this in, we now have a hash table. If I do user, this is what a hash table looks like. If you need to access one of the items in the hash table, which we're going to do here, this is how you would do it. You would just reference the key, and it's going to print out the value. So we'll go ahead and run this. And here we can say user's name is John. If we did age, it's going to print out the age. Next thing is demonstrating the checking of GetType, using GetType. So GetType checking is basically, is it an integer? Is it a string? This is good in your logical stuff. If you're building a script, or if you're building like a little application and someone enters a number, you want to make sure it's a number so your script doesn't fail. And this is how you could do that. So if we go ahead and run this code, we can see here type of age, and we see it's an int. That's doing the GetType. Same thing for fruits. Now fruits is considered an object, but if we were to do do it down here without stripping things out, you'll see it's an object, but it's a system array. So there we go. Next, we have a number. Again, you should know this now. We have quotes around it, so it's not an integer, it's a string. So we'll load that in the code, and then we'll do number, GetType, and check it out. It's a string. Now, what we could do next is we can cast it into a new variable and turn it into an integer. So if we go ahead and run this code, we're declaring this as an integer, and then we're putting it into a variable. So this is a new instance of that. And if we do GetType, we can see that it's now an integer. And then here's casting the string into an integer. We can see here that the quotes are around it, and then we have the actual integer value. And then down here, run this last piece of code, and let's see. Yeah, so it's saying it's an integer. So that's basically everything for this video. The challenge, let's go over that. Try creating a variable of your favorite color and print it to the screen. Shouldn't be too bad. You learned that today. Create an array with at least 3 numbers and output the second number in that array. So that's a little bit more challenging. And then convert a string representing a number like 50 to an integer, and then add 10 to it, because we didn't talk about addition or subtraction or anything, and get the output of that result. If you have anything extra you'd like to add or we didn't cover in this video, go ahead and drop it in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll talk to you next time.